to Tea Time with Jen with the Padilla Family Homestead. I am Jennifer if you are new, and this is my husband.
Welcome to the show.
This is live. He knows I can't edit him out, so this should be fun. First of all, happy New Year's Eve.
Yeah.
Yeah, we weren't sure.
I'm happy and Merry Christmas too because it just passed.
Oh yes, you haven't been on any videos for Merry Christmas since Christmas.
Right.
So, we are currently, it's raining outside. Hopefully we stay with some good internet for this video. We are having a quiet night at home, just the two of us. We hope that you are ending out 2022 in whatever way that you want to. That I hope that you had a good year and that you are excited for 2023. And that's kind of what we're talking about tonight or today, is approaching the new year with intention.
And unfortunately, next time I see you guys won't be till next year.
That is right. It won't be till 2023. So let's talk really fast before we forget. What tea are you drinking? What were you in the mood for today?
I did a black tea.
You can hold it up. Hold it up. It's a spiced chai from Bigelow.
Yeah, spice chai.
You wanted caffeine. I wanted herbal, and we're trying to go through some of our pantry stuff, and so I had a jar with some country peach. I actually have no idea what brand it is, but there was like 3 tea bags left in it, so I grabbed one of those for today. It smells delicious. Smell.
Interesting.
I had to talk the man into switching from coffee for the video. So, here, can you grab that and put that over there for a second? And I'll steal it back from you when we're ready. Okay, so as we start, I just want to go into a little bit about how we approach the new year. And it's changed over the years. We used to do more like New Year's resolutions. Vision boards, New Year, New You, all the regular like things that you hear. And we don't do that anymore. And really this last year, I think last New Year's, it's kind of when we shifted a tiny bit. And I will still do vision boards a little bit because they help me have something up on what I'm working towards. They're goal-oriented boards, but it's realistic things that we can reach. I'm actually not making a vision board this year, which we'll go into a little bit, but I think that it's okay to have that visualization in front of you on what you want. But I think there's something important about realizing like 2022 me is a good me. Mm-hmm. I don't want to replace 2022 me. I want to keep growing. Yeah. I want to keep the good things and keep adding in new things and helping that change. I think it's a more positive outlook.
Add on more things to the list that we've been doing. Because what we've been doing has been good for us. Like eating habits have changed, cooking more from home is better. I mean, I've tried going to the drive-thru and it tastes like trash.
Yeah, so when I did the 2022 recap, that was one of the things I talked about, was that we really realized cooking so much from home.
Yeah.
That store, like restaurant and fast food doesn't taste anymore.
It doesn't taste the same. It's like bland cardboard tasting with artificial flavors. And like if we cook, like I could cook a good steak at home and it's juicy and I can control the flavors on how I like it and
how much sugar is involved in it,
Yeah.
preservatives.
Yeah, like we've changed a lot in our diets. I know we still have a lot
To do.
to do, and that's why we're going this way because instead of trying to change who we were on the progress that we were doing, how about we add more to the progress that we're doing?
Yeah, not forgetting it and discounting
Yeah.
the year. So you're not going to hear us talk about New Year, New You because that's just not how we are deciding to approach the New Year.
No.
We're really being thankful. We really looked back on this year and looked at all the hard work we've done and looked at some things, some areas where we still have some room for improvement. And there's always going to be that. There's always going to be room for growth, but it's really being thankful for the things that where we are and what else we want to keep adding in. That way it's more sustainable changes. It's not like with your sugar, when we just took away all the sugar, that was not sustainable. When we started adding in things that were good, then it made him not want the other things as much. Except for
it's really hard because it's
got a little bit more sugar this last couple weeks.
Well, the hard part is when you cut yourself cold turkey and you really work hard at it, but eventually just get tired of it.
Well, if you don't replace it with something you still enjoy.
Yeah, because even though you're eating this stuff, and I know it's like you're punishing yourself. And one thing I've learned recently is that you don't have to punish yourself. You can still do the things you like, just make better choices on what you're putting in you, type of thing, versus what you're not supposed to do.
Right. So that's kind of how we're going to approach 2023. We're approaching the new year, looking at the past, going, this thing's worked really well. We really like that. We're going to keep going with that. These things need some room for improvement, and so I want to learn some of these skills. And so we're going to kind of go over some of our stuff. And one of the big ones is continuing on our health journey. We'll be doing that every year. A lot of that comes into our home cooking. And one of the challenges that we're really doing is we're not buying store-bought bread for at least the first 6 months of 2023.
Right.
We are going to have all of our flour-based products be made at home from scratch, like doing sourdough or whatever. Now, where I'm giving myself grace in this is if we can't nail down gluten-free bread, then
Especially for Emily.
Right, we'll buy that for Emily. And then we're still doing some tortillas, store-bought at this point in time. And then my daughter's birthday and graduation, if she wants anything special, then we will, that's not homemade, then we will go outside the box for that. So those are kind of my rules for that. He's on board. So that's where I'm looking at. I thought I killed my sourdough starter. Oh my gosh, guys. I was like, I'm getting ready for January. We've been talking about this for a bit.
Gluten-free flour.
And I was going to feed. It was during the time a couple days before Christmas. I was making our gingerbread houses, and I had gluten-free flour out on the counter, and I had my regular all-purpose flour out on the counter. And I dumped gluten-free flour into my sourdough starter, and I went, oh my God! I was so
She literally had almost nothing left.
I was
very minimal.
I moved the handle, and I was trying to take a measuring spoon and just scoop out a tiny bit of the starter that may not have been. But I got gluten-free flour in that. I just wasn't sure what that was going to do. I maybe had a teaspoon of starter. And so I babied that, and we have been feeding it and letting it grow and do its thing. And we finally made bread with it today. And it tastes good, and it's been rising. So
it was really, really impressive, but you got it.
I
Back.
was gonna have to find you started.
I'm like, oh no.
So, yeah, so that is one of our goals for this year. And any of these we're going to give ourselves grace with. But the homemade bread, we definitely feel better when we eat that versus store bought. I prefer that flavor over store bought now and the texture. So that's kind of where we are with that. We're also going to be doing the Three Rivers Pantry Challenge in January at least. We might do February, but it really depends on how we do in January. And the reason why we're doing that, if you never heard of the Three Rivers Pantry Challenge, make sure you look up the Three Rivers Homestead. And they have a YouTube channel, and it is something that you have to customize to you. So we live in an apartment in the city. We have built our pantry up, but it's important that you rotate your pantry. It's a working pantry. We don't want our grains to go bad. We don't want the food that we have in there to go bad. And so we need to be rotating that. And that is the purpose of the January, February Three Rivers Challenge. Now, we don't have dairy access to, we may have our own milk cow, or we don't have chickens, so we can't get our own eggs. And we don't have our own meat. So dairy, meat, and eggs, and then flour if I need it, all-purpose flour, are the categories that we are allowing ourselves to buy if we need it. But we're trying to limit that as much as possible. And we are trying to work through a lot of the stuff that we have built up. And then we'll save the money that we would have spent for groceries on that, and be able to use that to replenish what we need to the following month. So that's kind of where we are. And it's also letting us see, like, okay, so these things, why are they still in our pantry if we haven't been rotating them? And trying to find a way to creatively use them. I've had rye wheat berries sitting in my pantry, and I haven't done a lot with them, but I made pumpernickel recently and loved it. So we're going to purposely add in more meals that need that pumpernickel bread.
Yeah, I think mainly it's just so we can have less food go to waste, and instead of it going to waste, if you're cycling what you're using, use it up and then put some more back in, type of thing.
Because that's another thing on our list is reducing food waste, trying not to let things go bad, whether it's leftovers or milk or whatever it is, not letting things go bad, being intentional about using things as much as you can. So that tied that in perfectly. So we are doing the Three Rivers Challenge. Let me know if you guys want us to do certain video types. I have some videos in my head that I may do around that, but that is one of our goals, is to keep rotating the pantry. We're going to continue to find recipes that lessen the sugar intake or that are better on the glycemic index. So being able to utilize honeys to sweeten, or other things that are lower on the glycemic index, adding in those balsamic vinegar recipes, really trying to experiment more with that. Things along those lines. We're still going to continue with that because that's going to be an ongoing thing for him, and then I think it's beneficial for me as well. So
I think especially for me, going back on using more like balsamics.
Yeah, balsamics really balanced your sugars out a lot when we add them to meals.
Yeah.
I was amazed by that. Okay, so another one is to add more fermented foods into the diet. We did the fermented cucumbers, love them. We made our own fermented hot sauce. Really liked that. I think we are going to buy some organic store-bought peppers and just do that at some point.
I was really surprised about that.
Yeah.
That was better than sriracha.
So maybe this spring we'll try to get some more of those.
Yeah.
So, and it's good because it's adding in a good fermented food into the body. We have some fermented garlic. We finally used that. And we liked that. We added that to a pasta
Yes.
sauce. And then we are going to, after the pantry challenge this year at some point, we are going to try to make kimchi, and we're going to try to make sauerkraut again. And I think we're going to make it not smell like rotten socks. But are you down for me to try it again? Are you scared, huh?
I'm not scared. I just like.
That stuff stunk twice.
Yeah, it did.
So we're really working on trying to add in some more fermented foods. I would like to try to learn how to make kombucha. For me, he would have to limit that because the sugar content.
Sugar's high on that.
But I prefer the Jun or Jin or Jun kombucha, and that's made with green tea, I believe. The ones I've tried from the store, this particular brand, I love it.
She really likes it.
So I want to.
I tried a little bit. It's good, but like she said, it's high on sugar, so it wouldn't be good for me.
Right. It would have to be in moderation.
Yeah.
So those are the categories there. We're trying to add that into the diet. And then we talked about lowering food waste. This fall, probably, I have a plan to partner with a friend, and we are going to learn how to pressure can together and really dive into that. I've had all the stuff for it. I just haven't done it. And
well, it's hard.
We are gonna pull the trigger. I'm scared.
It's like when you're pressuring, like especially when you're trying to do like meats. That's like.
It's hard to fear wasting it right now.
No, yeah. But it'd be great if we nail it down though.
Right. So that is kind of our goal is to really start getting comfortable with pressure canning. And I think doing that with a friend is going to be good. And then we're not going to reward ourselves with crappy food. So if you missed the video I did on the 2022 recap, I talked about how like we would do so good making all the meals and all this stuff. We're like, you know what? Let's go out for a date night and we'll eat out. And we're going to treat ourselves because that way I don't have to do the dishes and I don't have to cook, and we don't like it. My stomach ends up upset. The flavor's not as good, and it's just, I don't know, it's so different. So now we're not going to reward ourselves like that. What I think we're going to work on is more meal prepping, and that way we can go, okay, here's a bunch of breakfasts pre-made and frozen. Here's a bunch of dinner options that are pre-made and frozen.
I really like the egg bites.
So it's
burritos we made.
Those are so good. So we will be doing stuff like that, and then we will. I just brain farted. Oh, that way when we want to if we're not feeling as good, or we just we've had a long day, we have a ton of projects going on, and don't feel like being in the kitchen all day, then I can just take that out and treat ourselves with a special prepared meal, and a game night or something like that. So
I really like that ideas and the way you've been doing it, like especially when like we are trying to fulfill our cravings,
right?
And she has frozen balls of cookie dough that she made here. All she does is we take 2 for each out, 4 cookies total in the oven, and that fulfills our cravings.
Everybody thought I was crazy for making as much cookie dough as I did over the holidays, but we literally will take out 4 to 6 cookies, period, cook those. And we can do, if he's craving chocolate and I want oatmeal cookies or whatever, just take out 2 of whatever we want, put it in the oven, bake that for the afternoon. There's none hanging around to tempt
Which
you.
is great because then you're like, not, oh, there's more in the cookie jar. Let me go grab some more.
And I don't have to go, oh, I have to make sure I have all these ingredients on hand. I have to do all these dishes for it. It's not anything added extra. I just literally take them out, put them on a cookie sheet, and put them in the oven.
Best idea ever.
So we're trying to do, thank you. We're trying to do more things along those lines to make our lives a little bit easier and to make it to where, 1, we don't cheat, but 2, we don't reward ourselves with crap. If we want to reward ourselves, we have good stuff. Okay, so the garden, I did post a video kind of about what my garden plan is for spring. And so we are for spring, early summer garden, we are focusing on more medicinal style things. We really want to work on making some homemade salves. There's some skincare stuff that has worked really good for him. And so we are really focusing.
Good oils too.
Focusing on trying to make some more home remedy style things that are going to really make a difference. And then we are, so in that video, I talked about how most of my garden will probably be done by June or July. And that's what I have growing out there. It's going to be too hot at that point in time to keep it going. We're not growing peppers this year. We're not growing a ton of stuff. And part of the reason for that for 2023 is we are hoping to move out of this apartment and somewhere where we at least have a yard. We don't know where that's going to be. We're not doing a whole lot of conversation regarding that. It's just we're at right now in a preparing phase, trying to figure out what we can afford, what we can do, watching the market, and seeing what is going to be available, and making us ready at that point in time when our lease is up to maybe be able to do that. It may not happen. We may sign another lease here and we may keep going. But
if the opportunity presents itself, then
right. So part of that is going to be making sure our garden is productive until that point in time when the lease is up, and then make it easy and non-stressful for moving if we decide to move at that point in time. If we decide to sign the lease, we sign the lease and stay again. Part of that's going to be going through our belongings and really purging and donating and selling some stuff and really limiting what we have on hand that we don't need anymore. My creativity has shifted over the years, and my mindset has shifted over the years to where when we first got together, my mindset was definitely one of scarcity. I had to hold on to things because I don't know if I can use this scrap piece of paper to make the Christmas gift because we can't afford it or whatever else, right? And so we had a lot of stuff built up craft-wise. And now my creative energies are put into the kitchen and put into the garden and more back into doing photography stuff with pictures. And so with that, there's some of the things I can purge and let go of. And I have more of an abundance mindset now. And what I feel like our needs have changed over the years. And so it's just good to let that go to somebody else and go through some of our stuff and really start to purge out. This is empty up here right now because we just took Christmas down. So we're in rotation. Yeah, I don't have any of my spring stuff out.
I think a lot of that has to do to where before you didn't find your creativeness in the kitchen, you found your creativeness in your crafty side.
Right.
Now that you find your creativeness in the kitchen, you don't long for the other stuff as much. I mean, you still do crochet, you do a little bit here, a little bit there, but you focus more on what you like to do, which is take care of us, by us is me, you, and Emily.
Right.
By spoiling
my
us with good
focaccia bread is so much fun to make artwork.
So pretty. And good.
So that's kind of, it has changed. So we are going to be working on purging and organizing and really simplifying a few things.
Less
I
is
had no
more.
idea how many clothes I've accumulated. So I'm going through a bunch of stuff this year. I'm really trying to clean it out to where we're at a point where we can um, move if it's
It's
something comes up and it makes it.
easy move if we go.
Yeah.
But if not, then there as it is, we have clothes that is worn out and stuff like that, and we don't need to keep the closet
Right.
packed. We can trim down and have a few outfits, and if we
Yeah.
need more, we can always purchase more. But
Right. And there's a lot of people in need right now.
yeah,
And so we're trying to just make sure we're going through that and doing what we can there.
right.
For me, another goal for this year that we're really working on is hydration. I'm horrible at hydrating. I'm really good at getting up in the morning and making a cup of coffee, sipping on that for a while, maybe making a second cup of coffee, and it's like 1 o'clock and I haven't had any water, and that is not okay. So, I really am working on making sure I'm hydrating and adding that in as a priority because it's something I need for my health. So he drinks a lot of water usually, so it's not as big of a deal for him.
Yeah, I think for you it was mainly just the way it used to taste for you before.
Right before I had
Teeth.
got my teeth fixed.
Yeah. So habits.
And then another thing we are focusing on this year is exercise routines. Not doing anything per se crazy, but just trying to stretch more.
Build more muscle.
I am probably going to go see a chiropractor because my neck and back have been out of whack. But we are going to really up when it's not pouring down rain, which I'm very thankful for the rain here. But when it's not pouring down rain, the two of us are really going to start trying to make little date time together and go for walks and try to increase the amount we walk to get to a possible certain goal. So we'll see. But we just want to add that in at doing something that's going to be attainable, but that doesn't cost a ton of extra money.
Right.
And so I think exercise, walking, and
I mean, even like let's say we start off walking, and eventually we get to the point to where we can go up the hill and go on a hike.
Right.
Or something like that. Nothing crazy expensive, but more adventurous or more to where we're more built up, feel healthier, feel better about ourselves, and not
continuing
winded.
That health journey.
Yeah, health journey.
So the other thing that goes with this a little bit is if we end up with some property where we can have a bigger garden, I'm going to start tomorrow trying to track what we eat. I'm going to have a folder of some sort, a notebook, and really tracking what foods we eat, what we like, what we don't like. He needs to be super honest and not just say he likes something.
I like.
So we're going to go through and really track the things that we do like to eat and kind of come up with a realistic view of what we eat in a year. And so we know what we can work towards for what we have to grow in a year.
Yeah.
So maybe at some point, if we have a yard, we can grow at least one item what we need for the year, and be able to preserve that in the way we like it.
That would be great, especially if we're canning. Then we can preserve in canning and stuff like that. But the goal is to eventually have a backyard or some land to where we can definitely grow in more quantity versus, I mean, it's nice that we have planters, but we
don't want to be 100% self-sufficient. We want to be community sufficient.
Yeah.
But we want to have more self-sufficiency than what we have in an apartment.
Yeah.
So I'm going to start that tracking now so we have some idea. And I know it's going to be a little bit skewed with not going to the grocery store. But I mean, we still have food from vegetables and stuff from when we went to the farm in October. Put away. We have
that was
some
really
stuff.
Good.
Right. There's so much stuff that we still have that we need to work through before it gets freezer burn and goes
I wish
bad.
we'd have known of that sooner.
Right. Okay, and then we are going to try really hard. I'm going to give myself some grace with this, depending on what is going on in life, because it does already look like 2023 is going to have lots of visitors and lots of excitement. So we have my daughter's 18th birthday coming up. We have her high school graduation. If we end up finding some property or house or something, there may be a move. If there's so many things that could come up. So I'm trying to do a video Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. But I'm gonna give myself grace with that. That is my goal, to at least have 3 videos a week. This week it didn't happen. I kind of gave myself some time off after doing a really hard push.
She has been working really hard.
So
really hard.
This week,
Christmas, she worked hard. I mean, this last year we were like, oh, nobody's gonna visit us. Nobody ever comes over. Let's set everything up as a kitchen. We don't need a dining room. Let's get rid of the couches. And then out of nowhere, oh, everybody wants to come. Which I don't mind people coming. It's good. I love it. But I was like, oh, we choose to switch up the house around, and now everybody wants to come over, which is great.
It does create some interesting work.
It just it makes us laugh a little bit.
So this last week I took some time off and just hung out playing a game with my mom and did some stuff and just relaxed a little bit, which was good. So next week I will be back on it. We are going to, next week's video actually is going to touch on my last subject for what we want to do for 2023, and that is increasing what we're using as natural cleaners and natural skincare as much as possible. So we're going to try out some new recipes. We're going to look at some of that stuff. Our skin is one of the biggest surfaces of our body that absorbs so much stuff, and I really want to try to make sure that what we're putting onto that skin and for it to absorb is better for us.
More natural versus all chemicals and whatnot.
Right. And there's some things that we're not going to escape from right away, and I'm not going cold turkey with this.
No.
We're trying recipes, and we're going to see what it is that works for us and what we like, and replace one item here, one item there. And that's just the goal this year, is to try some of that. If I find stuff I really like, I will share it with you. But my cousin is going to be joining us next week on Thursday, if all goes as planned. And she has a ton of amazing experience and had some really big reasons why she switched a bunch of stuff out. And so we are going to be doing a talk next week about trying to intentionally live pure, right? Choosing to live with pure ingredients. And so, in kind of why she jumped into that, and it's going to be a really good talk. So don't miss that. That'll be live on Thursday instead of Friday. And that'll be another tea time with Jen.
Right.
And then for us though, we're really just gonna focus and buckle down on going through the pantry stuff, making sure we're rotating foods, and then if things, as I'm going through that, finding things that didn't store well, how did I do that wrong? What do I need to do different next time? If we preserve stuff, there's some stuff we found that we don't like dehydrated, so we're not going to dehydrate those things again, right? Some things we're going to experiment with. We have the bunch of different types of wheat berries. I really need to get in and use that. I have a couple sifters now. It takes a little bit of extra work to make more of a regular flour with that. But I can mix that with an all-purpose and make really cool bread. So I'm going to try that out because there's certain it changes the flavor of the bread. Like the focaccia today, we have spelt in it, and it's like I love it. So we're going to be doing that. And that's kind of what our goal is for this next year. It's just to keep improving with what we're doing, being intentional about not wasting food, purging through stuff that we don't really need, and continually just growing. Mm-hmm. And that's we're going in with a list of skills we want to learn, and being intentional about it. It takes both of us being on board for, like, I know I have to learn how to make hot dog buns. This man wants hot dog buns with his hot dogs. I don't eat hot dogs with hot dog buns.
I like ballpark hot dogs. It's just, I don't know why I just have this obsession over hot dogs. I just do.
So, but he wants hot dog buns, and I'm like, well, I need to learn how to make it.
I like
so that
actual
way...
hot dogs and actual buns.
Right.
So if we make,
So I'm going to figure that out. There's a few things we're doing with that. So for at least the first 6 months, we are going to do all homemade bread. And then from there, we will assess and see if we're going to keep going with that. If we need to flex that at all.
More than likely we might, but we'll see.
Keep going or flex it?
Keep going.
Okay. You like the homemade bread?
I do.
So it was really neat. I did that Need November this year. It was Need November. Yeah. So we just did homemade bread in November, and we did our sandwich bread, we did our focaccias, rolls, all kinds of stuff.
Tell you what, those grilled cheese on the breads you make with the tomato soups. Oh.
Somebody's ready for lunch if you can't tell. So, that's kind of what we're doing to get ready for next year, how we're choosing to view it. I highly encourage you to not view next year as a new year, new you. View it as being thankful for who you are and where you are right now, and what do you want to add in. And as you add things in, some things are going to you're going to be able to let them go easier because you're replacing it naturally, and it's going to be more sustainable. And so we thank you for joining us on this tea time with Jen, and I'm going to go finish drinking my tea.
And Junior.
And
go ahead. More garlic is better.
He likes garlic. Monday, I believe we might do another live. Otherwise, it's going to be a recorded video. It is going to be a homemade Christmas recap. Did we stick with 100% homemade? Did we shift it a little bit? How were the gifts? How was that experience? We're all at different levels with making things homemade. And so we're going to talk about that as a family.
My level's down here. Their level was up here. I think we all combined it really good.
So we will be going over that for Monday's video if all goes as planned. So make sure you subscribe, hang around, and we are looking forward to taking on 2023 with you and continuing to grow and just trying to be the best version of us that we can.
Yeah.
So.
And if you like this video, please hit like too.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
And share it with others if you can. Thank you.
Okay, we'll talk to you guys next year.
Wow. Bye.